Welcome back. So now we're going to talk about how venture capitalists generate investment opportunities. So the first thing we got to talk about one is just a previous relationship with the entrepreneur. A venture capitalist or a general partner just may know that entrepreneur. They've had a previous investment relationship with them. You know, we had a famous entrepreneur come to my university one time. For legal reasons, I'm not sure if I should say exactly who it is, but it's somebody that you've heard of. Definitely a billionaire kind of guy. And he said, you know, look, there's some people that I've worked with them on so many different ventures. They can write a business plan for me on a cocktail napkin, and I'm going to fund it because I know them. You know, we've had multiple dealings, and this is a pretty common one. Now, you can also get a reference from a portfolio company's founder. Remember, venture capital groups will invest in a variety of portfolio companies, so different small businesses, and of course, they get to know these owners of new businesses. And so they may, you know, one of these owners may say, hey, you know, I know this buddy, you know, he's working on something else. Let me introduce you. Okay, just that nice reference. Okay. It could also be someone who is a friend of somebody who is an employee of the venture capital fund. It could be a friend of the general partner. So maybe they've not had a professional relationship, but it could be just a friend. They schmooze in the same circles. You know, this venture capital general partner has a friend who's a CEO who introduces you to a potential entrepreneur, that kind of thing. Or it could be a professional stakeholder. So lawyers, accountants, you know, they're going to be familiar with a variety of different businesses, and they can pass that information along as a reference to the venture capital company. Okay. Of course, they can also always find them in support organizations or incubators. Of course, accelerators are specifically owned by venture capital groups for the most part, but again, they can also go to university, city-owned incubators, and they'll give, you know, a lot of employees of venture capital groups and general partners will give talks and speeches and just kind of interact and schmooze because they're looking for talent, right? So it's just kind of hanging out. Other investors can be good references too. A business angel may say, you know, this company is really going big. You know, why don't you consider jumping in? Because of course the business angel knows that when the venture capital group comes in, either the company can grow and the business angel's initial investment can also grow, or they can look at possibly making something like a trade or a secondary sale. In other words, the business angel may sell their share to a venture capital group because they want to move on. That's possible. And again, other venture capitalists. Remember, some venture capitalist groups specialize in like pre-seed or seed or startup growth and maturity, and so when you move out of the pre-seed to seed, you might sell to a different venture capital group through a secondary sale. It grows to a certain amount, the seed sells to the startup, it grows, they sell to the maturity, or so they sell to the growth, and then they sell to the maturity phase, right? And again, these venture capitalist groups are going to know each other and they're going to have long-standing relationships. And they do that again because different levels or different stages in a venture's life cycle correspond to different growth rates and different risk rates. So every venture capital group has its own little character. It could be just a cold call entrepreneur. Just an entrepreneur has looked you up on the internet, looked up that venture capital group on the internet, shows up and says, hey, let's collaborate. Also possible. Of course, there's all sorts of professional networking going on. You know, there are venture capitalists at trade shows looking for, you know, new technologies and new innovators, people to work with. You know, there's always like business leader meetings in every city. Like, you know, there's Leadership Abilene, Leadership Buffalo, you know, Leadership Los Angeles, you know, where the who's who all get together. And of course, venture capital groups might be guest speakers or they might actually be part of that organization. Faculty can be a great resource too, okay? And not just like, you know, I teach students and then I can refer to them to people. Of course, I do that when I can, although where I am, there's not a whole lot of venture capital activity. But you know, my previous job in Los Angeles, and I used to always tell my students, I said, you all be on the best behavior with your faculty because you don't know who they are sometimes. We had a lot of adjunct faculty. These were people that were contract faculty, so they were paid by the course. They didn't do research, and most of them didn't have doctorates. Well, they would be teaching classes because they were scoping out future talent. They didn't care about the money. Most of them, I don't honestly think, really enjoyed teaching that much either, but they were there because they were looking for their next employees. So if you make a good impression on as a student, that faculty member gets to know you so that when you graduate they can pick you out as an employee, or they might even start employing you as an intern beforehand. So always be on your best behavior in class because you actually might be in part of an extended job interview and not even know it. And chambers of commerce always have events everywhere you go, right? They have events for just people to schmooze. I forgot to mention, in addition to faculty, universities are always great places for networking too. Universities are kind of like neutral ground for different kinds of stakeholders from the community to gather and exchange ideas. I have events all the time on my current university's campus, and the who's who from the town come in, and we get to, people mingle and they get to meet students and things like that too. But I mean, the idea is that it's a place where when you meet people and you don't know them for the first time and you get to talk to them, of course they can become friends. But there's also that potential for professional collaborations as well. And so these are all places where venture capitalists can find their deals. So in our next kind of series of videos, we're going to look very closely at exactly what does this process of screening look like. I think you'll find it to be a very interesting video series. It's part of this playlist. It's just several videos. I think I've got 8 in there that are all kind of be back to back. So I'm looking forward to seeing you then. And as always, give me that like. That's a thumbs up. Hit that comment button. Pardon me. Well, you can hit the comment button too, but make sure you hit that subscribe button and comment down below. And here's my question for all of you. Do you have any experience getting picked up by somebody from a venture capital group? What other places do you think what are the other places where you think venture capitalists can find some potential deals? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm looking forward to seeing the next video.